Hey guys, it's Christian here. I just wanted to come in here and make a video about something that I've come to realize, like the deeper I've gone into my entrepreneurship journey, the more countries I've traveled to, the more people I've met, the more money I've made online. I started to realize this one thing. And this one thing I'm about to tell you, it isn't to like bring other people down. It isn't to like demean people or make them feel like, the people who have money or, are successful or accomplished, that their goals and like the things that they managed to achieve don't mean anything. I'm not saying that. So this is not like a negative message. I'm not bringing anybody down. Instead, what I'm doing is I want to tell you this with the intent of like inspiring you, making you realize that this is possible for you and making you like come to the realization that if all these people could do it, why couldn't you, right? So this is like a positive message, right? So don't take it the wrong way. And what I want to tell you guys in this video is that all the people that you see, making, $100,000 per month, $1 million per month, or even more than that, right? There's people who are billionaires in this world. Those people are not different than you in any significant way, right? Right now, you might imagine that those people are like on another level. Their mind operates differently. They think differently. They're different, right? Like they're not the same type of like human as you. They're just like way different than you, right? They're like on a level that you couldn't be. And that's not true, right? That's not actually how it works. Like I've met a lot of people making 10K, 20K, 100K, even 500K, right? Like large amounts, right? And I'll tell you this, like these people are different in some ways, but they're not different than you in ways that you couldn't also become, right? They're not just like born different. They're just not wired or genetically different. Yes, they have some advantages. Some of these people are really smart, really intelligent. Some people have, greater capacity to focus. Maybe they have other like mental attributes that make them special in their own way, right? Some people are really analytical. Some people are really good at speaking. So everyone has like their own set of like strengths and weaknesses, right? And everyone has like their own like level of gifts. But what I want to tell you is that it's not that much those things, right? It's more about the mentality. It's like the fact that they've come to realizations, they've like, found things, they've discovered things. And instead of like overthinking and like, planning things out and like delaying months, years, right? They just took action, right? Like they got a thought into their head and they thought to themselves like, hey, this is a good idea. I should do this, or I see the opportunity here. And they went ahead and did it, right? And when they did it without fear, right? Because being an entrepreneur, making money online, owning a business, it requires you to not only take fast decisions, but you have to take the right decision. And sometimes you don't even know if this is the right choice, right? If you're making the right move. And even if you're not sure if this is the right move, you still have to take the move with conviction. You have to take the risk without like being fearful or like self-doubt. You have to just like take decisive moves, and you have to take them fast, and you have to trust your gut. You have to trust your mind that this is the right move, right? That's more about what it takes to, hit $100,000 per month, a million, or become a billionaire. It's more about that. It's more about taking action fast. It's more about taking the right actions. It's more about risk taking. It's not so much about being the smartest guy or being the best speaker. All these things do help. I'm not saying that they don't, but it's more about these qualities, right? And these qualities are things that you can train. You can become a better decision maker. You can become someone that, is more calm, more composed, and takes the time, right? It doesn't just rush to take the easiest choice or the easiest decision. Someone that looks at all the options, like calmly, and like just thinks to themselves, okay, what should I do here? And doesn't also just delay things, right? Because delaying, it means that you're distracted. It means that the other things are pulling you in a different way, right? So you have to kind of like take back control of your mind, right? To be able to choose things without, delaying so much. Like realize that, okay, I have to do this. I'm going to leave the distractions over here. I'm going to leave that over there, right? Just do the thing I have to do. So this is something that you train to, like being like, calm and focused and not delaying. This is something that you have to train with self-control, kind of like self-restrain yourself, right? So that's like one thing that you can train. And also like the calm, like, person that looks at all the decisions before, all the options before they make a move. That's another thing you can train. And then being able to like learn what's the right move or what's the right choice. You won't know it a lot of times, right? Because and a lot of things in business, it's not so clear sometimes. It's kind of like, it's not black and white all the time. There's like some complex situations, especially when there's people involved, especially when there's like new trends involved and like things changing all the time, right? It's not going to be all clear all the time, right? So you have to kind of like learn to make the right decision. A lot of times you're going to make the wrong choice. You're going to make a mistake. It's going to cost you money. It's going to cost you time, right? And you're going to get better with this at doing this like over time. With more experience, you'll remember last time I did this, last time this happened to me, or this mentor told me this, or you're going to collect experiences over time, right? So that's another thing that you can train, right? Because you're never going to be born knowing all the answers. You're not going to be born with wisdom and experience on day one, right? You have to like accumulate this. So again, this is something that you also control. So at this point, we've talked about three things, being able to calmly look at all the choices without being emotional, without being like clouded by fear, that's one thing you train. Be able to control your mind to not delay things and focus on what you have to do. That's another thing you control. And then being able to make the right choice. That's another thing you can control. And lastly, the fourth one is, be able to make a choice and do it decisively and do it without feeling like, okay, I'm kind of scared. Maybe I shouldn't do it. Maybe I should pull out, hesitation. You have to like make choices without feeling any level of hesitation or self-doubt. Because when you self-doubt and you feel like, okay, maybe this is not the right move, this type of self-doubt makes you do things worse. You like perform worse. You kind of like halfway do the action, halfway like in and out. So you have to do things without this like indecisiveness, right? So, and this is another thing you have to train, right? Because once you've made a lot of moves and you made mistakes and you realize nothing happened, or something did happen badly, but you were able to recover, or once you've made a decision and, it went right and you won and you got the result you wanted to, now you feel more confident, right? So it goes both ways, right? The more times you mess up and you realize that you can handle messing up, and the more times things go right, the more confidence you gain and the better you'll feel about next time taking a risk. You know what I mean? Like this is another thing that you have to train, right? You have to just do more moves and fail or succeed more times so that eventually making moves is not such a big thing, right? You've made 1,000 moves before. You've made, hundreds of moves like this past year. You've taken so many risks in your life that this extra risk isn't so big to you, right? Because you're used to this. You're used to taking massive leaps, doing these things, right? So again, this eventually stops being so hard, right? It becomes something that's easy, something that you've done so many times. And yes, it could cost you money. Yes, it could cost you time. Yes, you could make a mistake, but you'll be fine and you can trust yourself because you've trusted yourself in the past and you've been fine, right? So again, this fourth thing is one thing that you can control. And all four of these things are probably like one of the more important things about, being an entrepreneur, making money, or having like a business, right? These things are more important, being able to look at all the options, calmly and make a choice, be able to control yourself to not get pulled in all these directions and fall into all these distractions and not delay things that you have to do so you can move fast. So first, look at all the decisions, look at all the options. Number two, do not delay and, be able to make fast choices. And number three, it's being able to identify what's the right move, which is again, something that you gain with experience. And number four is being able to take risks without hesitation, without fear, and without like second guessing yourself so much, right? So again, these four things are probably one of the most major things about being an entrepreneur that you have to learn. And all four of these things are things that you can develop, right? You're not going to be born with these qualities, with these characteristics, or like the ability to do any of these four things. These four things are things that you have to learn. You have to like kind of get over time, right? So that's what I mean, that entrepreneurship is not so much about being intelligent, being different, by being born a special way. Like it's not that, right? What separates you for those people at 100K a month, a million a month, people who are millionaires, is more about these four things and a ton of other things, right? These four things are not everything, but they're just four major things that are really important to an entrepreneur. There's a ton more, and most of those, things that you need are things that you can get, right? Things that you're not going to be born with, that you have to accumulate, build, develop. And that's a good thing, right? Because if being a billionaire, if being, someone that makes $1 million a month, $100,000 a month is more about acquiring, more about building, more about developing, that means it's more achievable for you, right? Because if people were born, with a billionaire mindset, born with like billionaire like qualities and, work ethic, and they're just by default, then it would be impossible. Then it wouldn't be so easy for someone to go from zero to a billion, right? But because it doesn't work like that and everything's like acquired, everything's like developed, everything's that something that you practice, then that's good for you because that means that you can actually also do the same things, right? You can take the same risks, you can take the same decisions, you can put the same amount of reps and then eventually get there as well. And that's actually how it works, right? So that's a good thing for you. And you have to always acknowledge this, right? Always realize that it's not luck, it's not genetics, it's you and the decisions you make and the choices you make and the knowledge you accumulate and the information you consume and the experiences that you gather, right? It's more about what you do, what you think, and what you know. And it's not so much about like, genetics or having a better brain or anything like that. So that's my goal with this video. I don't want to like bring down the people at the top who are billionaires, making a million a month. I'm not trying to say that they're not special. They are in their own ways. But what I'm trying to tell you is that it's not unachievable. It's not something that you can't become. It's not something that you couldn't like achieve or, climb up to, right? It's something that you can also do. And that's my goal with this video. I want to like not bring people down. I want to, you being down here, maybe you're a couple steps up above that. I want to tell you that you can get up here, right? But it takes time, it takes work, it takes a lot of things, right? But I just want you to know that it's achievable, right? And it's one of like those mentalities that I hold so like close to me. Like these things are like things that people can't convince me otherwise, right? Because I've seen how these people operate. I've seen how they speak. I've seen them describe themselves as a child. I've seen themselves describe themselves as a teenager or as like a young man. And they themselves admit that they developed these things. They themselves admit that they weren't built this way, that they've accumulated this, right? They admit to their mistakes. They admit to like the things that they had to overcome to be able to become that person. And because I know that, and because I've seen them talk about their past selves, talk about their journey, I understand it's a transformation. It's something that they became. It's something that they built and developed. And you can also build and develop the same thing, right? So that's basically my goal with this video. I want you just to come in here and just watch this video and realize like I can do all these great things that I see. I could become that way. I just have to put in the time. I just have to put in the reps. I just have to have attention to detail and, work on the things that I have to work on to get there, right? So anyways, this is like a positive message I want to leave you. Want to really like dive deep and tell you guys about this concept because it really like reframes the way you think and it makes you, instead of, blaming, things like external factors like genetics, other things you can't control, it kind of puts it on you. It puts it on you to like get better and learn things, right? Instead of like blaming other things. So that's my goal with this video. If you like these videos, just feel free to like subscribe and like the video. I'm going to be posting videos every Monday and Friday and you don't want to miss them. So make sure you're subscribed and like the video as well. And I'll see you guys in the next one.